Hello everyone. In this session, let us understand the techniques for parallel computations with threads. So what is decomposition? Decomposition is a process of dividing a given problem into smaller components or called as tasks which can be executed concurrently. We have two different types of decompositions. First one is domain decomposition and the second one is functional decomposition. The domain decomposition is the process of identifying the patterns of functionally repetitive but independent computation on data. This is most common type of decomposition that we use in order to achieve high throughput computations. And when these calculations are identical and only the data is differing, then the problem can be executed in any order. Then the problem is said to be embarrassingly parallel. Embarrassingly parallel problems are the easiest parallelizations because there is no need of synchronizing different threads. And these type of problems do not share any data, and coordination and communication between the threads are very minimum. This strongly simplifies the code logic and allow a high computing throughput. So in case of domain decomposition, usually a given system is divided into two major code segments. One code segment contains decomposition and coordination logic, whereas another code segment contains repetitive computation to perform. There will be a master thread which executes the first code segment. As a result of the execution of the master thread, slave threads are created which executes the repetitive computations. And the collection of the results from each created threads and composition of the final results are performed by the master thread. The coordination and decomposition logic is often quite simple and involves identifying appropriate number of units of work to create. Usually a while or for loop is used to express the decomposition logic, and each iteration generates a new unit of work which can be assigned to the created thread. So wherever the condition like repetition of the data is not met, then the problem is said to be inherently sequential. Inherently sequential is a process or type of decomposition where the computational data is dependent on some of the values obtained in the previous iterations. Inherently sequential and embarrassingly parallel decomposition can be seen in this diagram. So in the first diagram, you can see a given process is divided into units of work where all the units of work are identical to each other. And finally, the executed result can be combined in order to give the final result. Whereas in case of inherently sequential, the process is divided into units of work, but they are not identical in nature. So that means they are all interdependent. The data are interdependent, as a result of which they are calling it as inherently sequential type of decomposition. So in order to show how domain decomposition can be applied, it is possible to create a simple program that performs matrix multiplication by using multiple threads. Matrix multiplication is a binary operation that takes two matrices and produces another matrix as a result. This is obtained as a result of composition of the linear transformation of the original matrices. There are many techniques to perform the matrix multiplication, and the matrix product is the most popular technique. The matrix product computes each element of the resulting matrix as a linear combination of corresponding row and column of the first and second input matrices respectively. There are two conditions to be met in order to perform the matrix product. The first one is the input matrices must contain values of the comparable nature for which the scalar product is defined. And the second condition is that the number of columns of the first matrix must match the number of rows of the second matrix. When these conditions are met, the resulting matrix will have the number of rows of the first matrix and the number of columns of the second matrix. And each element will be computed as per the equation. As per the equation, so Cij is equal to summation starting from the element A is equal to 0 and to n minus 1 A jk and B kj. So this is the formula to get the elements of the final or outcome matrix. So where A and B are the elements corresponding to rows and columns, and the total matrix elements ranging from 0 to n minus 1. So let us understand what is functional decomposition. Functional decomposition is the process of identifying functionally distinct but independent computations. So here the main focus is on the type of computation rather than on the data manipulation by the computation. Functional decomposition leads to a natural decomposition of the problem in separate units of work because it does not involve partitioning the data set, but separation among them is clearly defined by distinct logic operations. So we can understand the functional decomposition with a simple example, and we can see how a mathematical problem can be parallelized by using functional decomposition. For example, let us take a function f of x is equal to, say, sine x plus cos x plus tan x. So if the value of x has been set, if the value of x has been set in all these three different operations, so these three operations can be performed independently from each other, and as a result of which we can find out this function value. So this is an example of functional decomposition because entire problem can be separated in three distinct operations. It is possible to achieve parallelization through this particular technique. So now let us understand how this thread programming model is going to help the distributed applications. Actually, it offers developers the capability of running multi-threaded application on Aneka platform. The main abstraction of this model is the concept of thread, which is very similar to the common local thread executed remotely in a distributed environment. This thread programming model, offers finer control on execution of the individual components or threads of an application, but requires more management when compared to task programming. The Aneka thread supports almost all the operations available for traditional local threads. More specifically, an Aneka thread has been designed to mirror the interface of the system. Threading.thread.net class. So the developers can easily move existing multi-threaded application to Aneka platform with minimum changes. Ideally, applications can be transparently ported to Aneka just by substituting local threads with Aneka threads and introducing minimum changes to the code. This model covers all the application scenarios of the task programming and solves the additional challenges of providing a distributed runtime environment for local multi-threaded applications. In case of a thread programming model, the application is designed as a collection of threads whose collective execution represents the application. And threads are created and controlled by the application developer itself, while the Aneka is in charge of scheduling and managing their execution once it is started. Threads are transparently moved and remotely executed while developers control them from local objects that act like proxies on the remote threads. This makes the transition from local multi-threaded application to distributed application quite easy and quickly it can be done. Here in this case, developers do not have to completely rewrite the application in order to uh, get the Aneka platform, but process of porting the local multi-threaded application is as simple as replacing the system.thread class and introducing Aneka application class. So let us understand the difference between multi-processing and multi-threading. In multi-processing, CPU are added for increasing computing power, while in multi-threading, many threads are created of a single process for increasing computing power. In multiprocessing, many processes are executed simultaneously, while in multi-threading, many threads of a process are executed simultaneously. So when you take a multi-threading with Aneka, Aneka as a middleware for managing clusters, grids and clouds provide developers with advanced capabilities for implementing distributed application. It allows the developer to write multi-threaded applications the traditional way with added twist that each of these threads can now be executed outside the parent process and on a separate machine. So this flexibility is very much required for a developer so that he can create the program and the program can be executed on the separate machine in a distributed application which are integrated with cloud or grid or clusters. Usually these threads are independent processes executing on different nodes and do not share memory and other resources, but they allow the developers to write the application using the same thread constructs for concurrency and synchronization as with the traditional threads. Now if you compare the traditional threads with Aneka thread, So aneka.threading.aneka thread class exposes almost same interface as the system.threading.thread. So .NET threading APIs are of the class system.threading.thread, whereas the Aneka threads will be of the class aneka.threading.aneka. So here in this table you can see the difference between these two classes. The reference namespace that defines all the type of uh, functions to support for threading is aneka.threading rather than system.threading. The basic control operation for local threads such as start and abort have a direct mapping, while operations that involve the temporary interruption of the thread execution have not been supported. The reason for such a design decision are many. Firstly, use of the suspend or resume operation is generally a depreciated practice even for the local threads, since the suspend interrupts the execution states of the thread abruptly. Secondly, thread suspension in a distributed environment leads to ineffective use of infrastructure, where the resources are shared among different tenants and applications. This is this may be the reason why the sleep operation is not supported many times. Therefore, there is no need to support the interrupt operations, which resumes the thread from waiting for a or sleeping state. To support synchronization among threads, a corresponding implementation of the join operation, which already discussed, join operation has been provided. Now this is a thread life cycle. A thread goes through a various stages in its life cycle. For example, a thread is born, started, runs, and then dies. In this diagram, we can see the complete life cycle of a thread. A new thread begins its life cycle in the new state, and it remains in this state until the program starts the thread. It also referred to as the born thread. Next, runnable. Runnable after a newly born thread, the thread becomes runnable. A thread in this state is considered to be executing its task. Waiting. Sometimes a thread transitions to the waiting state while the thread waits for another thread to perform a task. Thread transitions back to runnable state only when another thread signals the waiting thread to continue executing. Timed waiting. A runnable thread can enter the timed waiting state for a specified interval of time. A thread in this state transitions back to the runnable state when that time interval expires or when the event it is waiting for the uh, other thread to terminate. Terminated. A runnable thread enters the terminated state when it completes its task or otherwise terminates. So if you compare the Aneka thread life cycle with the local threads, you can see Aneka thread life cycle is different from the life cycle of local threads. It is not possible to directly map the state values of local thread to Aneka thread. So in this figure, we can see a comparative view of two life cycles. The white balloons in the figure indicate the states that do not have corresponding mapping on the other life cycles, while the shaded ones indicate the common states. In case of local threads, most of the state transitions are controlled by developer who actually triggers the state transition by invoking methods on the thread instance. While in case of Aneka thread, many of the state transitions are controlled by middleware. An Aneka thread is initially found in unstarted state. Once the start method is called, the thread transits to started state, from which it is possible to move to staging state. If there are files to upload for its execution or directly to the queued state. If there is an error while uploading files, the thread fails and it ends its execution with failed state, which can also be reached for any execution occurred while invoking start method. Another outcome might be rejected state that occurs in case of thread is started with invalid reservation token. This is the final state and implies execution failure due to lack of rights. Once the thread is in queue, if there is a free node where to execute it, the middleware moves all the object data and dependencies or depending files to remote node and starts its execution, thus changing the state into running. If thread generates an exception or does not produce an expected output files, the execution is considered to be failed. The final state of thread is called as failed state. If the execution is successful, then final state is said to be completed. In case there are output files to retrieve the thread, the state is said to be staging out while files are collected and sent to their final destination. And then it transits to completed state. And at any point of time, if the developer stops the execution of the application or directly call the abort method, the thread is aborted and its final state is said to be aborted. So now let us understand something about throughput. Throughput refers to how much data can be transferred from one location to another in a given amount of time. Actually, it is used to measure the performance of hard drives and RAM and as well as internet and network connections. Throughput is defined as the amount of information or material passed out through or delivered in a specific period of time. For example, throughput is 20 screens of copy being printed within 5 minutes period. Actually, throughput is the rate of speed that the data on your network travels. So this is the information about the throughput which you should know in order to understand the later chapters. Thank you.